The city was a limerick. Each filthy winding street rhymed in spirit with the next street over, and twisted its cross streets into double entendres. All the main thoroughfares were two-way streets that could be taken any which way but Sunday, on which the city allowed all-day parking to fill up the streets. It would be faster to walk, but none of them led out of the gutter. Every back alley was a body echo of Nantucket. Islands of trash floated atop potholes filled with liquefied city. Every scent and whisper fractalized in the runoff from the last rain. On occasion, used condoms tied off with enough air inside them to float and tossed down from the apartments above would wash ashore on these archipelagos of sin, carrying millions of still-living passengers that would never reach the promised land. They would suffocate inside their latex submarines, never knowing there was a whole world out there to disappoint them further. Ted Michaud was staring, bug-eyed, at one such of these submarines while being suffocated in the more traditional sense, hands on throat, thoughts on God. Ted didn't believe in God, but his oxygen-deprived brain was really hoping God didn't know that. Ted had, until recently, played the part of a believer exceedingly well, if he did say so himself, which of course he couldn't with Deuteronomy the Crusher's inhumanly thick hands living up to their name on his windpipe. But it was the thought that counted, and Ted thought it should count for something that he was literally wearing a Catholic priest's habit at this very moment. His own, in fact, not just some random priest's pilfered piety or a Halloween spirit store special complete with holy water. If God wouldn't save one of his own, what good was he? But then, God had to know that Ted had never been a true believer, whether God existed or not. If he did exist, then well, he knew everything. And if he didn't, then he was just an agreed-upon fiction existing in the heads of hominids that had invented cages for animals, and in so doing, had cursed themselves with time to think. And in thinking, inevitably realized that they too were animals, and would require more cages for themselves. If God was an agreed-upon figment to create order, like the name of this city, which was really just a patch of polished dirt for Ted to be murdered on, then through the virtue of living in Ted's head, God knew full well that Ted didn't believe he existed. Perhaps the part of Ted's head that God lived in resented the part of Ted's head that didn't believe in him, and that was why Ted had made the divinely poor choices that had led him to being squeezed to death in some filthy back alley sewer.